Buckle up. It's the Martin and Dean Chronicles. Ready for laughs and cheers? One's a geezer, one's a queer. Find out who on the Martin and Dean Chronicles. Tune in, don't delay. Martin and Dean will make your day. Part 3. Changes. Chapter 13, Chaos and an Unforgettable Loss.
What happened?
Dean spitting out mud.
Fucking hell, Martin. Feels like we got hit by a train in the time stream. What the fuck was that?
Martin pushes himself up, blinking through dirt and sweat.
Where the fuck are we?
Dean wipes his face and looks around. The sound of gunfire, screams and artillery explosions rattle the air.
Well, Marty, I hate to break it to you, but I think we've landed in the middle of World War *1.
Dean pulls out the time displacement device, staring at it with wide eyes as it flickers and sparks. Dean nervously chuckles.
Now, Martin, don't panic, but this thing's glitching like absolute dog shit right now.
Martin snatches it from Dean, shaking it like a remote control with dead batteries.
This can't be fucking happening!
Dean, ever the optimist, slaps Martin on the back.
Look, Martin, we're gonna have to make the most of this shithole till it sorts itself out. I mean, how bad can it be?
A soldier screams as he's bayoneted right in front of them. Blood splatters.
All right, yeah, that's pretty fucking bad.
More gunfire. Explosions. Screaming happens around them. It feels as if hell has welcomed them in. Martin and Dean ran for their fucking lives. Dean spotted a fallen rifle, an M1 Garand. Grabbed it, checked the ammo, 8 rounds. Dean grinned, holding up the rifle.
M1 Garand, oh, you beauty.
Martin blinked.
How do you know what that is?
Dean smirked.
Mate, I watched a lot of war films.
Martin sighed.
Brilliant. We're in World War I and you're quoting Legends of the Fall.
Dean cocked the rifle.
Let's kill some bastards.
Martin gawked.
What?
Before he could argue, a German soldier appeared. Rifle raised, aimed at Dean.
Stirb, du verdammter Bastard.
Martin, not thinking, grabs a pistol off a corpse and fires. The German soldier drops like a sack of potatoes. Dean turned, grinning.
You absolute mad bastard. That was brilliant.
Martin shook violently.
I think I'm going to be sick.
Don't be fucking weak, Martin. You're a war hero. I'm so proud.
Dean notices the dead soldier has a whiskey flask. He grabs it, unscrews the cap, and takes a swig.
Ah, now that's the good stuff. You should drink some. You'll feel much better.
Then a rat appeared. Beady-eyed, hairy little fuck, quick as fuck. Before Dean could react. Snatch! The rat grabbed his whiskey flask in its little claws and bolted. Dean screamed.
You fucking little bastard.
Martin doubled over, laughing.
Well, at least there is something funny about this hell on earth.
Come back with my whiskey, you hairy cunt.
The rat zipped into a tunnel. Dean stared. His hands clenched into fists. He looked up at the sky, covered in smoke, bullets flying, and muttered,
I fucking hate this place, all right?
Somewhere along the line, Dean became a menace to society. Not that he ever wasn't, but World War I just gave him a new playground of absolute carnage. And as always, poor Martin got dragged along for the ride. Inside a war-torn trench, soldiers exhausted, the smell of death thick in the air. Martin and Dean huddle in a dugout. Dean is chewing something. Martin watches in disgust. Martin grimacing at Dean.
What are you eating?
Dean chewing away, his face contorted in pain.
Bread.
That looks like it came from a Roman ruin.
Tastes like it too, like shit, like an old boot filled with misery.
He spits a chunk of stale bread onto the mud.
Right, this is unacceptable. We might be stuck in the middle of a war, but I refuse to eat this shite. I need proper bread.
We're in 1916, Dean. What do you think you can get? It's this or nothing.
No, I want tiger bread.
Tiger bread hasn't been invented yet.
Dean stands up, hands on his hips, face full of purpose.
Well, we're gonna invent the fucker then.
Oh, Christ.
Through means unknown, Dean has acquired a direct line to Prime Minister David Lloyd George. He sits in a makeshift command tent, holding a dusty old phone. Martin sits next to him, head in hands.
Listen, Davy boy, you want to win this war?
Who the devil is this?
Doesn't matter. What matters is you're sending me flour, yeast, sugar, oil, everything I need to make tiger bread.
I don't understand.
You want your boys in the trenches fighting like tigers, don't you? Well, give them bread that turns them into fucking beasts.
That sounds plausible.
This country's doomed.
A few days later. Against all odds, sacks of ingredients arrive. Dean stands triumphantly over them, arms crossed like he's won a battle himself.
Right, let's bake.
Dean covered in flour, the tent full of smoke, dough stuck to the ceiling. The bread is a charred, mutated abomination. It looks less like food and more like a weapon.
What the hell have you done?
Dean looking at the burnt lump.
Well, I can't fucking bake, can I?
No, you can't, my love.
Dean throws the failed loaf outside. It lands near some German soldiers in no man's land. They gather around it, prod it, then slowly back away, fearing it might explode. Inside the trench, shortly after Dean's catastrophic baking attempt, Martin is sitting on an ammo crate, head in hands. Dean, unfazed, is already onto his next bout of chaos.
I can't do this anymore. I can't be responsible for this man.
Right, I need to let off some steam.
A random soldier walks past, barely glancing at Martin. Dean, for absolutely no logical reason, narrows his eyes.
Oi, you looking at him funny?
The soldier, looking confused.
What? No, I was just...
Bang! Dean shoots him in the foot. The soldier screaming out in pain.
What the fuck?
Martin shouting out horrified.
What the fuck?
Dean shrugs, holstering the gun.
He had a dodgy look. Could have been a spy.
He's British, you absolute fucking maniac.
Well, now he's British and sitting down.
The shot soldier groans, holding his foot, regretting every life decision that led to this moment. Later that day, Dean, still not satisfied, gets into an argument with a corporal over whiskey rations. It ends with Dean punching the guy in the face. "You can't just punch me, I'm an officer." Dean shaking his fist.
And I'm a legend. We all have our struggles.
Dean, for the love of God, stop making enemies in a literal war zone!
Despite all logic, Dean finds the officer's horse. It's a beautiful stallion, clearly belonging to someone important. That does not stop him. Martin watches in horror.
No, Dean, no.
Dean climbs onto the horse.
Dean, yes, you mean.
Before anyone can stop him, Dean kicks the horse into action and charges directly toward no man's land, screaming at the top of his lungs.
I'm fucking invincible!
The horse, entirely unbothered by bullets whizzing past, gallops full speed into the chaos. Martin watches in stunned disbelief as German soldiers pause their fighting, staring at the absolute lunatic thundering toward them. Some just drop their weapons and run. Others, in sheer confusion, hold their fire, because surely this must be some kind of trick.
He's gonna die.
Against all odds, Dean does not die. The horse, however, finally decides it has had enough of his shit and swerves hard, sending Dean flying straight into a trench.
That could have gone better.
You think?
He horse trots off, free of its lunatic rider. Dean hauls himself out of the trench, covered in mud but grinning like he just won the war single-handedly. Suddenly Martin starts having an existential crisis.
I'm supposed to be back home sorting out our life now, not killing people.
Dean smirked.
Martin, you're thriving. Just embrace it.
A mortar exploded nearby, showering them in dirt and bits of some poor bastard's shoe. Martin let out a high-pitched noise.
Oh!
Dean barely flinched.
Look at you, Martin, natural-born soldier. Next, I'll get you a cigar and a 1,000-yard stare.
Dean, this is hell!
Nah, hell's got less mud.
Then another explosion. A soldier screamed in the distance. Somewhere, someone was singing "It's a Long Way to Tipperary," wildly out of tune. Then a massive trench rat appeared. It stopped and stared at Dean, like it was looking into Dean's soul, trying to mock him. Dean tensed and let out a loud shout.
You!
Martin just sighed.
Oh God, not this again.
The rat charged. Dean screamed at it. Gunfire, chaos, rat parts everywhere. Dean stood, panting. Martin looked at the mess.
That was unnecessary.
Dean wiped blood off his face.
You don't understand, Martin. That was personal.
Martin put his head in his hands, yet it was not for long. The war never stopped for no one. All-out chaos happens within a blink of an eye. Martin and Dean ran through the trenches, ducking past soldiers, bullets whizzing past their heads. Dean clutched the M1 Garand.
All right. Where the fuck do we...
Martin, breathing heavily, squints into the distance. His eyes lock onto something, a glint of light reflecting off a rifle scope perched on a dusty ridge. He spins, lunges at Dean and shoves him just as a crack echoes through the air. The sniper's bullet slams into Martin's chest, sending him staggering back.
Fucking snipers.
Dean catches him, eyes wide with panic.
You daft bastard, why'd you do that?
Then Dean's eyes snapped to Martin's chest. A dark red stain.
Wait, what? Oh no!
Martin let out a shaky breath.
Didn't see who shot, just saw it coming.
Blood everywhere, a proper fucking mess.
No, Martin, you fucking idiot!
Dean shook Martin, but Martin winced, blood trickling from his lips. Martin then coughed and wheezed.
Oh, I feel terrible.
Dean laughed hysterically.
Yeah, well, no fucking shit, Martin. You just took a bullet for me.
Martin winced.
Didn't even get a medal for it. That's a rip-off.
Dean pressed his hands to the wound.
Stop fucking talking. We can fix this. You're not dying in some shitty trench, mate.
Martin raised an eyebrow.
Oh, you've got a cure for bullet wounds, do you?
Dean scowled.
I've seen films, all right? You just need whiskey and a bit of luck.
Martin groaned.
Oh, well, in that case, I'm completely fucked.
Then a humming sound. Dean's head snapped up. The time displacement device. It glowed. Dean grabbed it, shaking Martin.
Martin, it's working. We can go home.
Martin blinked, smiled weakly. He sighed.
Would have been useful 5 minutes ago.
Dean gritted his teeth.
Don't start with your sarcastic bollocks. Just hold on, yeah?
Dean grabs the device, hands shaking. He's about to press the button, but then a roar sounds behind him. A bloodied soldier bursts from the trench, bayonet aimed straight for his chest.
You picked the wrong fucking day, prick.
He dodges, grabs the soldier by the collar, and headbutts him so hard the poor bastard collapses like a sack of bricks. Without missing a beat, Dean kicks him in the ribs for good measure.
Dean, just go.
Dean's chest tightened.
No, don't do that. Don't give me your tragic last word shit. We're going home, and then you're going to make me a fucking sandwich.
Martin chuckled.
I think we are out of tiger bread.
Dean laughed sharply.
Oh, you're going to be out of fucking everything in a second, Martin.
An explosion hits nearby, sending Dean down into a pit he can't climb out of. Martin sees someone coming towards him.
Go, Dean, my love.
Dean froze.
No, I'm not leaving you, poof.
It's too late for me. Someone is coming. Save yourself. Oh, I love you, Dean.
Dean sighed, looked at the time displacement device. One last trip, Dean thought. This could be my only way home. He swallowed hard. The sound of footsteps started coming closer.
Martin, farewell.
Dean hit the button before it was too late and disappeared. Dean crashed onto the floor of their flat. His body ached. His soul ached. It was quiet. Yet the time displacement device sparked wildly. Dean threw it across the room. It hit the wall with a pathetic clatter, sparks fizzling out like a dying firework. Then Dean smelt it.
The fuck is that?
Black smoke. His eyes widened.
Oh, shit.
He scrambled up, raced to the cooker. There it was. A pan, burnt to absolute fucking death. Something inside it had turned solid black, fossilized. A war crime. Martin had been cooking. Before everything. Dean stared. Then, for no reason at all, laughed. Hysterical. Shaky. He wiped his eyes.
I'm going to miss you, you little poof.
He shut the stove off and went to find whiskey. But the answering machine beeped. Dean froze. Slowly he pressed play.
You have 3 new messages.
Beep.
Message 1.
Martin's mother. Her voice crackled through the speaker, filled with whinging fury.
Martin, you never call me, never visit. What kind of son ignores his mother? This is a disgrace. You think I'll live forever. You should be ashamed.
She didn't stop.
And that useless husband of yours, what's he doing, eh? That Dean? He doesn't make you call your mother? What kind of man is that? Useless, lazy. You both, no good at all.
Dean's stomach turned. A memory hit him like a brick. He'd shagged Barbara when she was young, and now she was an old cunt. He gagged.
Oh, that's fucking vile.
Beep.
Next message. Message 2.
Martin's boss at that miserable little shop. A deep sigh. Then,
Martin, you didn't show up for your shift again. That's 3 times this month. I had to do a 16-hour shift to cover for you. Tut, Martin. Not good enough.
a pause. Then Mark groaned.
And you know what? I bet you're just lying around at home watching telly, not even giving a toss. Well, guess what? You're fired. Fired, you hear me?
Another frustrated sigh.
And you left me to unload all those bloody cages by myself. You know how many there were? Fucking loads, that's how many. My back's ruined now, thanks a lot.
Yet Mark didn't stop there.
All these hours I'm working, my wife will divorce me.
Dean exhaled sharply through his nose.
Yeah, well, he's got a good excuse for not being there. Now you cunt.
Beep.
Final message. Message 3?
Oi, Dean, you're a fucking faggot.
A long pause then. Then Baz burst out laughing.
Ha ha ha.
And just before the voicemail cut off, another voice chimed in. Pinson, pissed out of his mind. Tell him he's a proper knobhead, Baz wheezed.
Yeah, Pinson says you're a proper knobhead. Anyway, lockdown's over and it's your birthday soon, so drinks out Friday, yeah? Don't be a twat, show up.
End of messages.
Dean stared. Then finally,
Yeah, fair.
he grabbed the whiskey, took a long drink, and for the first time in a long time, sat down and just breathed. Then he drank more, and more, until the bottle was empty. Then he found another. The flat turned into a graveyard of whiskey bottles, rolling around the floor like empty bullet casings. He laughed, sobbed, punched the wall, swore at nothing.
Fucking pricks.
Somewhere between the 8th and 9th bottle, he tried to stand and immediately face-planted onto the rug. Didn't even try to get up. Instead, he lay there. The room spun. His brain was a haze of ghosts and gunfire. Join us to continue the adventures by hitting subscribe. If you enjoyed our exploration, give us a like and share your thoughts in the comments below.